Hey guys, it's Gabby. So for today's video, I am finally back with another do's and don'ts, and this time I'm going to be talking to you guys about applying a top coat over nail art without smudging the design, because I feel like we have all been there and it is so frustrating when that happens. So hopefully these tips and tricks will help you guys out, and yeah, let's get right into the video. So first off, your top coat, it really doesn't matter what top coat you're using, but you do want to make sure you're not using an old dried out one because it's just going to pull the design with it. Instead, you want your brush to look like this, so it has a good amount of nail polish on it. That way you can kind of glide it over the design. And this is the Sally Hansen Big Quick Dry Top Coat, and I really like this one because it dries fast and it's pretty affordable, so whenever I'm running out, I can just go get another one. And I actually have like 3 of these right now because I use a lot of top coat. So for my first example, this design was actually inspired by Nails by Cambria on Instagram, but it's like a cheetah dot design and it is really easy to smudge. So the first thing you want to do is make sure your design is dry. And what I like to do is just take my finger and tap and rub my nail. And you want to do this gently because if it's not dry and then you go in there with your finger, you're probably going to smudge it. And I normally wait at least 10 minutes for my nail design to dry, which seems long, but honestly, you rather do that instead of like mess it up and then have to start all the way over. But once it is dry, you're gonna take your top coat, and like I mentioned before, you wanna make sure you have a good amount of top coat on it. And you're gonna take your brush and lightly go over the nail. And you don't wanna actually wipe it onto your nail, but instead you're gonna kind of glide it on top. That way you're not pulling your design with the polish. And definitely try not to go over the same spot twice because it's more likely that the polish will smudge. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Once you get through that first layer of top coat, you don't really have to worry about it smudging if you go back to fix up any areas you missed, or if you add a matte top coat, which I'm showing you guys right here. And if you apply a glossy top coat before you apply a matte top coat, it will make the nail look a little bit more smoother, but honestly it's not going to make a huge difference, but just throwing that out there. So next I have an example of what you don't want to do, and this is the same exact design, except this time I only waited like 2 or 3 minutes so it wasn't completely dry, and then I'm just going in with my brush. It didn't have that much polish on it, so you guys can see it's just smearing everything around, getting nail polish on my brush, and it's just not good. So this is what you don't want to do. And another random tip, if you're going to apply a matte top coat over a glossy one or just over the design, you want to make sure that you're covering the entire nail with the matte top coat, because it's more obvious if you miss a little spot, because there'll be a little glossy spot and then the rest is matte. So that's just something to look out for. For my next example, we have some stripes, which I feel like are even easier to smudge than my last design. So again, I'm going to make sure that it's dry to touch, and I'm just going to gently tap it and rub my nail. And then I actually dip my brush in between each stroke across my nail, which I know seems aggressive, but this just works for me. So basically I just dip it back into the bottle and make sure there's no polish on it, and then do each stroke. And I know this looks like a lot of top coat, like it even floods into my cuticle a little bit, but I just wipe it off with a brush. But I've never had an issue with it drying too slow or it getting too thick. And another option you have is to go in the direction of the design. So in this case, I would be going and applying it horizontally, but personally, I just don't like applying my top coat in different directions because I end up getting top coat like everywhere on my finger. But again, that is something that you can do. So next we have some dots, because this is another great design to smudge. And one thing I notice is whenever I do dots, it's slightly raised, and even if I wait for it to dry, it just is easier to smudge. So something that I like to do is just gently take my finger and just press down the dots. And what this is going to do is flatten the dots so that when you go to apply the top coat, it has less of a chance of smudging. And I don't know, I've been doing this for a while now and it really does help. So that's another tip that I have for you guys. So yeah, that is what I do to avoid smudging my nail art. If you guys have more tips that you like to do, feel free to comment them down below, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!